Last two, a little bit more effort. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay.
Thank you.
Naran, everyone. So last class we stopped halfway through shloka 22. As discussed, this is the heart of the Gita. It's like the right bang in the middle of the Gita, this shloka. We did not want to rush it, so we will reread it from the beginning, because that will also set us context, and then we can move forward. Vijay, would you like to do the reading with us?
Let's start from the connection.
Yeah.
21, right? Connection 21?
Haji.
A very pertinent question now arises. The attainment of heavenly bliss and reversion from it has been explained by the Lord. But if the duties are performed by devotee of the Lord dedicatedly, how would the requirements of life be met? The Lord holds out very important assurance.
Ananyas chintayanto mam.
Ananya chintayanto mam.
Ye jana paryupasate.
Ye jana paryupasate.
Esham nityabhiyuktanam.
Esham nityabhiyuktanam.
Yogakshemam vahamyaham.
Yogashemam vahamyamam.
Vahamyaham.
Vahamyaham.
Word means
Yeah, we've done the word meaning, so we'll directly go to the
Sure. Those who worship me in every way, meditating with a singleness of mind, thinking of none other for such persons who are ever absorbed in me, I carry them what they require and preserve them what they have. The characteristic of dedicated devotees. In this very important shloka, three conditions have been laid for being fulfilled, whereafter the Lord secures the wherewithals for all the dedicated devotees. Singleness of mind. It is necessary for such a devotee to think of the Lord with the mind completely centered on Him alone. This would mean that in every relationship of the world, such a devotee would perceive only Lord in diverse forms. Mother, father, wife, child, friend, opponent, all then appear as a different form of the Lord. To such devotee, dealing with all is dealing with Lord in those forms. Whatever is done to a devotee becomes Lord's benign will, directed towards the devotee's ultimate welfare. All circumstances of a devotee's life will become benevolent dispensation of the Lord, none being adverse, derogatory, or unfavorable. Meditative worship.
Wait. So, so this is the. So there's no coincidence, right? That this shloka is right bang middle of the Gita. So the fact that it is in the middle of the Gita, there is a deep amount of meaning. There's a deep amount of subtlety, and there's a deep amount of juice that we can take from this shloka, right? And the first thing that we have to understand is, and we've talked about this earlier also, if you don't do your duty, if you don't do your action, somebody else will do it for you. If you don't do your role as your dad or as a father, somebody else will come and do it. The mother will step up, the grandparents will step up, somebody else will step up, the boy will still be raised, and he'll still be fine, right? So action will happen regardless of whether you do it or you don't do it, right? The second thing also he says is that when this action happens, right, if you keep me in mind, then you don't face consequence. But if you don't keep me in mind, then you are bound to face the consequence. It's as simple as that. So, and he's saying that, and this is why this is part of bhakti, and this is where devotion comes in, that in this world, we can live our entire life and we can do it, we can carry out all our duties, right? And our life will be fine. We'll all live that life. But the only difference is all the action that you do, you will have to face its consequences. You will have to face the karma. And you have to face the karma because you're not offering your action to Bhagwanji. You're interacting with the world, and you'll have to then follow the world's nature rather than interacting with Bhagwan. So he's saying, you continue to do what you're doing. The only thing you need to change is at the bhav level, at your intent level, to do this for him. And that's the first point he's saying, is the single-minded, singleness of mind. To redirect the mind where you are constantly and only working for his pleasure. And you should see that in your mom, you should see that in your parents, in your spouse, in your children, in your friends, in your colleagues, everywhere. Because end of the day, we understand that Bhagwanji is powering everything. He is the source of creation and activity behind everyone. Even if a person you do not agree with, and Bhagwanji to hai uske piche. So if you are being upset, you're being upset to Bhagwanji. So he's saying, if you can bring that in your life, that one element, then you are a true bhakt. And from a day-to-day perspective, it essentially is in the VVGP, right? The Vyakti Vastu Ghatna Paristiti, the VVGP. It's about identifying the deep essence of every circumstance. Why is this happening? What is he trying to tell us? What is he trying to bring out in me? Because everything is happening for our ultimate benefit. Even if it's happening in a grossly negative way, he's only doing it to bring out your own vasanas, for you to become aware of your bad behavior, for you to be aware of how you act and the consequences it creates, because you're facing it now. And that is the only journey of life, right? But that can only happen if you have the singleness of mind, if you have that focus. Otherwise, it's very easy to slip into blame game, acha, bura, rag, dvesh, all of those things, right? And then that only leads to suffering, mentally, emotionally, physically, all of that.
I think Kapoli's last week's question, how we handle adverse situation with ease, essentially.
Yeah.
Meditative worship. In this manner, whatever the devotee does becomes worship of the Lord. The performance of duties with a sense of dedication makes the devotee constantly meditate on the Lord, and all the work done in this manner becomes meditative worship of the Lord.
So, there is this thing in Zen Buddhism, right? So it's the Japanese version of Buddhism. And in that, they have these camps. And in that camps, they do, of course, deep amount of meditation. But with the deep amount of meditation, they also focus on meditating, not just in that moment of meditation, but meditating every moment of every day, like every second. So, like, I've been to a few of these camps, and even when you eat food, you wear earplugs and you like close your eyes and eat. And the main intent is, even eating is a spiritual experience. And when you direct your mind and your focus with the gratefulness, you of course pray to the food. After you pray to the food, you start chewing it. It's obviously all sattvic khana. And when you start eating it, you actually feel the energy. You actually feel the gratefulness that you are actually chewing. You're not just eating because of your tongue. And most of us, the way we eat today is, there's a TV on, we're stimulating our mind with something else, and we're gobbling things down. And we stop eating when our stomach tells, oh, we're really full, when our stomach bloats up, basically, right? So you're completely disconnecting and that's the animality in all of us. It's not the spirituality in us. Our spiritual behavior would never be that. right? So he's saying this meditative worship, everything that you do, if you do it with a certain level of presence of mind, and if you do it with a level of reverence and gratefulness, then your entire life will automatically become one with him. You will be connected to the Lord in every moment. And that person, no matter what comes in their life, they'll always be at peace, as you can imagine. Right? And that's what a lot of these meditation workshops, if anyone's ever been, they try to bring out in you. That you're wearing a t-shirt right now. My t-shirt is touching my body in several places. I'm not even aware of it. I'm only aware of it when I move. But in deep presence and meditation, you become aware of everything. And then you're able to be, and when you become a higher level of awareness, it will automatically create a higher level of gratitude. Because your mind is that much more present, and then you feel his bliss. And you feel your gratefulness of everything that you have. Sure, please.
Absorption in the Lord. For such a devotee who is saturated with love for the Lord, there is no occasion for repentance for happenings of the past, nor for any apprehension about what is to happen in the future. Being ever conjoined to the Lord and doing everything as an instrument of the Lord, no expectation of any type is harbored from any person, happening, or circumstances. Performance of duties towards everyone is not counted as doing a favor to them. On the other hand, there is a sense of being always grateful to the Lord for having been given an opportunity to be of service to others.
Yeah. So this is power packed, right? So this is what I was saying earlier also, is when you get into this meditative state and your awareness increases, automatically you become a lot more present. And when you become a lot more present, then your bhav, your reverence to every situation automatically increases. Just like if you actually pay attention to the food you eat, you will automatically start being grateful for everything that you have. And even if you're eating something you don't like, then the reverence takes over and say, no, somebody made it with a lot of love. It's fine. It's still, food is still blessed, and it will still bless my body. Right?
Carrying what the devotee requires and preserving what he has. For such devotee, the Lord says that he himself carries what the devotee needs and preserves what the devotee has. Provision of what one needs is called yoga. Preservation of one has is called shema. These two words have been used in shloka to form word yoga shema. And the Lord declares that he conveys all the yoga shema for his devotees.
So this is very important. So let's, before this story starts, example starts, yogakshem, right? So what is the yoga? He's saying provision of what one needs is called yoga. Does anybody remember what yoga means? Yoga means union, connection to the Lord, right? That's yoga. That's how we use yoga. What one needs is called yoga. All of us have yoga. All of us have the tool to do yoga because we have a piece of him that powers us, our soul. The fact that he's given us his energy means we have the ability to connect back to him. It's like we can connect back to the mothership through the divinity inside of us. That's the first. Second, the preservation of what one has is called shema. He gives you all the right circumstances to preserve everything to maintain this connection based on your journey. So nothing gets lost along the way. So if you've done good deeds, if you've done the right karma, if you have trying to reach to God and you're walking on that path, he will protect that connection as per our own journey. So in our circumstance, we all have yogakshem. we all have been blessed with a set of circumstances that allow us to read the Gita and connect to Bhagwanji, and allow us to have the intellect sharp enough for us to inquire about Bhagwanji. That itself gives all of us the blessing of Yogakshem. Now that we have this as a starting point, the question is, how do we build from here? There is another aspect of Yogakshem. This can be taken away also. Huh? The other aspect of Yogakshem is for you to be connected to Bhagwanji, you have to have a certain amount of surrendership to him, a certain amount of I surrender my life to you, which is why this shloka first starts with surrendering, single-mindedness, singleness of mind, meditation, absorption in the Lord. This is all us surrendering our ego. Once we surrender our ego, then our Yogakshem comes to the forefront. That's how it is structured. If you operate from ego, you will not be in connection with Bhagwanji, and you will not feel that reverence of Yogakshem. So I'll give you an example here, right? When a baby is born, when there's an infant and a newborn baby, what does the mother do? The mother's around it 24 hours. Every 10 minutes, baby is sleeping, baby is awake. What does the baby need? Okay, let's look at the time. Maybe it's hungry, maybe it needs to walk, like do godi, maybe it needs love, maybe it needs food, whatever it is, right? And so what is the mother doing? And as soon as the baby cries, mother and father are absolutely alert. And they go rush to the baby, right? And as the child gets older, right? When it's 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, we're still around. We're still taking care of the kid, right? But as the child gets older, they get more independent. They become more conscious. They have their own choices. They start behaving the way they'd like to behave. They get the freedom to choose. And when they get freedom to choose, when they become 20 years old, 21 years old, does the mother still hover around? Will the mother still be aware of everything the child does? No, because the boy has become independent, right? So similarly, I'll continue this example. If this 20-year-old has not come home till 11 p.m. at night, and I ask Tuina, hey, where's Vedant? She'll be like, yeah, he's gone out, must be at a friend's place. We'll come back in the morning. If a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old doesn't come home after school for 30 minutes, will we have the same reaction? No, we will be all over it. We'll be worried. We'll be like, okay, let's go find out. Let's call school. Let's go back to the route. Maybe he's lost, all of those things, right? The same two extreme scenarios is with Bhagwanji. If you act independently with your ego, thinking you are creating what you're creating, then Bhagwanji takes a backseat. And he's like, okay, do it. And as you face your actions, do your actions. Actions will still happen. Do them. And then face the consequences. He'll just take a note of it. Because that principle is set in stone. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. You have to face the consequences of the action. But if you behave like that baby who's fully surrendered to the Lord, then do you really need to take care of yourself? No, the God will take care of you. Right? And he's saying, I am your parent. You are my child. And that's the only relationship you have in this world. Everything else is just forms of me around you. So as long as you surrender yourself, you will experience divinity. Moment you think you are the creator, you are the doer, your ego comes in, then you will face the consequences of your actions. Yeah.
Yogakshem has several different layers, right? So Abhinav's explained one part of Yogakshem. So bringing it down from the subtler level to slightly grosser level, it also means that it will get you what you need and preserve what you have to get the job done. Whatever are your circumstances and whatever duties those circumstances create for you, you don't have to worry about resources for getting that aspect done. Whether it is physical resources, whether it is mental resources, whether it's emotional resources, whatever resources you need have already been given to you or will be further given to you as you continue on your journey. Which means there is never an occasion for you to first say, I can't get something done until ABC conditions arise. If you're facing a situation which demands a certain action from you, then know that you already have all resources that are required and your action is supposed to happen within those. Even if you think, oh, my resources are so constrained, that's okay. That's all that is demanded of you. Continue on your path with those resources, even if you feel they are constraining resources. And as you move ahead, if further resources are required for you, they will be made available to you. Okay. Second thing is, again, here, what is very clear is that out of the 4 Purusharth that we have, Arth, Kam, Moksha, and Dharma, right? Out of these 4, Arth and Kam is not something that you're supposed to focus on. That Lord is saying, I have provided for you. Focus on your Dharma, focus on Moksha. Okay. Another big thing that he's saying is that I myself carry. I don't send somebody else to do my work for you. I myself carry it to you. He himself carries to the devotee what he needs. Now, when we start thinking of that, then we are like, okay, so then what is an important distinction here, right? He will carry to you what you need. He will preserve what you need and not what you want. Not your desires. Every single desire I'll have will get fulfilled. No. Only those desires will get fulfilled that you absolutely need on your journey. That which is for your ultimate benefit. But know that God is taking care of you for whatever is your journey supposed to be. And that, if you really understand it at a deep level, you will understand that there is absolutely no need to worry. We worry about, oh, what if something happens? What if I lose my job? What if somebody gets sick? Any of those concerns, as and when, if they arise in this form, or challenges will come in some other form, right? We all face challenges and we face them continually. Know that those challenges have come for our benefit, for our ultimate welfare. We have to face these challenges to grow. And whatever resources I need to deal with that situation have already been provided to me, whether I'm aware of it or whether I'm not. So at no point of time should you feel that you're not capable of handling any situation that is coming to you. God first equips you and then gives you a situation. So be confident whenever something comes up, however hard, however difficult, however challenging it may seem to you. Know that you have the resources with you, inside of you and around you. You just need to look around. You just need to look deep enough. You may think, oh, this is too hard. I may not be able to do it. I may not be able to understand everything that is required. You will find resources inside of you and around you. And sometimes it's a matter of just looking around and reaching out. So that's very important to know. Every situation will come equipping you. And as you keep growing, right? As you keep growing, bigger and bigger challenges will arise. Path of Gita will ensure that once you have mastered your first step, the second step will come, which will be bigger and more difficult, right? It's like, when you think of your career, right? When you started off your first job, the job opportunities, the job responsibilities you had were this much. They will only grow as you keep getting higher and higher on the ladder, right? They don't become smaller. Your job becomes more and more challenging. But those responsibilities become more challenging, commensurate to your ability to do them. And the resources will be commensurate to what you need. Your team will grow commensurate to what you need to get your job done. And that's true for every situation in life. Know that God is taking care of you. He will give you whatever you need, and he will take care of whatever needs to be preserved. Whatever needs to stay with you will stay with you. Whatever needs to go out will get out. Whether it's connections, relationships, friends, people, behavior patterns, habits, anything that is not serving you well at this point of time in your life, God will take it away from you for your own benefit. So Yogakshem, we don't have to worry about dharma. We don't have to worry about kam. We don't have to worry about arth. Don't work for that. No action should be done because you're trying to preserve wealth, preserve fame, preserve reputation. Don't work for that. Whatever that is already given, it's already given, and you will behave in circumstances as per your gunas. It's not you working hard. Your gunas will make you work hard. Okay, so that is already given in your life. Now you need to focus on dharma and moksha. That is the meaning of Yogakshem. And now we will read a story where we will understand the fact that Lord says that he himself carries. That's a big assurance he gives us. So, that he himself will carry what you need. He won't send his messengers to you. He won't send mother will not send someone else. She will herself come no matter what to take care.
Just one thing to add to what Tuvina was saying about looking for resources, right? The main reason we get flustered when we're looking for resources outside to solve our problem is because of our internal state of things. Our own attachment, our own greed, our own expectation, our own wants rather than needs. So in the beginning of the Gita book, right, there is a page, I think a new book, it's a couple of pages before the first chapter starts. But if you can read it, it says, the heading is shlokas which help in tiding over trying situations. And this is a list of about 25 circumstances that Sinhaji has highlighted that will confuse us, will very easily derail us from our single-mindedness. It will derail us from being sthit pragya to being to moving towards rag dvesh. And each one of these circumstances, he has kindly highlighted the relevant shloka for us to read. So, for example, point number 14, for tiding over indecision, chapter 2, 7. For equipoise in trying situations, chapter 14, 1, 2, and 3. Right? So, whenever in doubt, whenever you start feeling like you're about to get in a stressful situation, open this. Use this as a guide to work first in your internal state, to get back into principles. And then you will be able to have this intellect, sharpened intellect, to go to that situation and do what needs to be done. Yeah, Bhageshri.
Yeah, so you said that dedicate all our actions to God, like whatever we do. How do you implement it at the ground level? I mean, how do you actually think and how do you actually do it? That's my first question, actually. And second is when you said that the situations around us, they are tailored for us. I mean, they are for our welfare. So how do you actually believe that? Because there's no one there who's keeping a tab and giving you the situation. So how do I believe that whatever situation I'm getting, it's for my welfare, or like whatever situation right now I have is the best for me?
You want to take it?
The second one first, because I remember the second question better. So this is, okay, first of all, to be able to have complete knowledge, right? You will need to, knowledge comes from experience. Okay. Knowledge will come from experience. Experiencing requires you to implement, experiment, test.
And believe.
Not believe. Belief will come after that, right? First is that you have to, okay, you have to believe that this is actually true. And then you have to, with that belief, actually experiment. Test it out in the real world. There is nothing that I am going to say that will make you believe like it you will believe when you actually experience it. And the only way you will understand what the truth is when you will only understand what an apple tastes like when you actually eat it. There's nothing I can say, how much ever I may tell you, it's red, it's round, it's this shape, I can draw it for you, I can show you what it looks like, and it tastes crunchy, it is sweet, whatever I may say, you will not understand what an apple feels like. The only time you will really understand it is when you actually eat it yourself. Okay, the only way to eat it is to actually do that experiment. So whatever principles are being talked about, focus on implementing them in daily life, right? And when you implement them in daily life, you will start to slowly see how or why it is true. Then this question will go away. Now, the point is, like Shalini Didi always says, once you know, then you know, there is no way to go back. But until you know, until you get that Purna Gyan, jahan Purna Gyan nahi hai, wherever you don't have the full knowledge, fill it with faith. If you don't fill it with faith, that's when we totter. Because it is difficult to get that full Gyan. Full Gyan doesn't come like this. For full Gyan, you need to have a lot of hard work in place. For you to be able to reach a point where you can see, okay, this body is actually made of atoms. How do I know atoms exist? Ever seen it? Ever seen it with your life, with your eyes? You haven't. But you believe that atoms exist and atoms are the building blocks for everything. It may look very different, but you are composed of the same type of atoms as I am composed of. You have exactly the same set of atoms. I have the same set of atoms, but they are put together in slightly different ways to create slightly different person. And the same set of atoms actually create table. The same set of atoms compose at the very basic level water or fire or air. Atoms are the basic building blocks, correct? And you can go even further down. Jitna, you can go subtler and subtler and subtler to say, boss, end of the day, the basic entity that creates this entire diversity is the same. At a chemical level, you understand it. But why? You haven't seen it. You believe someone else who has seen it. Tons of other scientists who have done that experiment, they have told you that we don't have the right tool set, but we created this tool set. Very difficult. It took us like 30, 35, 40 years to get here to create this stuff. And then we experimented and we are telling you that this is true, right? Similarly, the same concept is for the sages who have done enough amount of hard work. They have experimented with these rules and these laws. They have put them into practice and said, boss, this is actually true. And then they tell us, this is the way. If you walk this path, you will get there. Same as if you want to be that chemist who is able to see look at those atoms, you want to be a scientist, you have to go through class 1 to class 12. You can't in class 1 say, oh boss, like, no, I don't know, I don't believe this, I'm not going to, you show it to me. It doesn't work that way. You have to go, even if somebody shows you in class 1, you won't be able to understand. If I tell Vedant about the concept of atoms, he won't understand. So what will we do? We will show it to him by the means of blocks. And we'll say basic building blocks. But then he'll say, okay, basic building blocks, but I don't see how these basic building blocks, Mama, will make you or make me. I don't understand this, right?
I'm not made of Lego.
Yeah, I'm not made of Lego. Okay, yes, you are not, but the concept at a subtler level is the same. And I'm trying to explain to Vedant at a level that he will understand. When he is in fourth, when he is in fifth, when he is in 10th, the way we'll understand, the way we'll explain the same concept will get different and it starts to make sense. But for me to even take that explanation to another level, his basic knowledge has to increase. Correct? So until that basic knowledge comes up, he has to have belief that I am being taught 1 to 10, I am being taught to do certain basic mathematics. I have to follow it. Without this basic knowledge, I won't get to the next level, right? And that is why Shalini Didi always says, and the end goal is to get this Purna Gyan, so that this question that you have, Bhagyashree, does not arise any longer. But that's the answer that we are all going towards.
So means I should just believe that whatever situation I get, it's tailored for me and it's for my ultimate welfare. So believe that and then experience that whether it was good or not.
Correct.
I mean,
so that's the starting point. That's the starting point. Okay. That belief is absolutely the starting point. Then the second question, now I remembered your second question. You were asking, how do I dedicate an action to Lord in real life, right?
Wait, before we go there, I want to add two things, right? So one thing what I want to add here is it's that Steve Jobs speech, right? That you can only connect the dots looking backward, never forward, right? If you do things with the right purpose, with the right intent, then somehow 20, 30 years later, it will all connect and make sense. That was his, if you haven't listened to it, it's his graduation speech at Stanford, Stanford. Fantastic speech, right? It's sprinkled with gems of principles. The second thing about your entire thing about Einstein said this very famously. All of us have heard the quote that God does not place dice with the universe. Nothing is happening by random. In chapter 7, we read about it also in a lot of detail that everything is happening because of our collective sanskars, our collective prarabdha, and everything is created by him. Way to understand this logically is video game. The creator of a video game is a person sitting on a laptop or a computer somewhere in the world. But I, as a player, I am interacting, I'm a person in that game, I am interacting within that world set based on the rules set by the creator. I cannot play in that game, and if I do, I'll die, right? If I don't follow the set rules. Now, at every given point in time, I am only interacting with things made by that creator. But I could be interacting with a person who is sitting in, like, who could be Bhagyashree, controlled by Bhagyashree. But it's within the rules of the creator. From now, this is the second part of this example. The creator will always have a certain amount of power and cheat codes to help you bypass things in the game, right? We've all learned cheat codes, we've done them, we've used them. It's exactly the same with Bhagwanji. The only difference is, while our way to get a cheat code from him is just by praying to him, by keeping him in mind. Then that absolves us of all the negative karma that we will collect by doing the action. We cannot stop playing the game. We have to play the game. We have to do our action. We have to do our duty. This is a grateful opportunity. We should be grateful for the opportunity to do it. But as long as we do it with him in mind, then we are getting out of the game. Sorry, now you can go to the first question, which was, how do we practically have him in mind?
So that's chapter 2 and chapter 3, right? Chapter 2, chapter 3 very clearly stated. And in fact, chapter 4 also we talk about how do you practically do stuff and dedicate to him, right? So the first thing is that don't get attached to the results, right? But you have to do your hard work. You can't escape from hard work. Okay, you do whatever is best. And when you are trying to do whatever is best, there are lots of different shlokas that cover various aspects. Like, how do you decide what is your duty? How do you decide that you're doing your best? So you should not be thinking about your own benefit. You should be thinking about the benefit of all. You should be thinking about what is good for the society or what is socially acceptable. Those are those different steps that you can take to figure out what is the right thing to do in any situation. If you feel confused, right, in a certain situation, so you should always be doing the right thing. Dharma. This is called the dharma. Doing the right thing is the same as doing your dharma. Okay, so we have to do our dharma in every situation and give it our best and walk away from the results, not be attached to the results. If we can do these 2-3 things, then that means we are dedicating it to the Lord. And at no point of time should you feel like, you are doing it with your own energy. Understand that this energy is being given by the Lord. Right? So if you are given a certain vibhuti and you're doing it because the energy from the Lord. And he's created a situation for you, and then you have to go and put it into action. And then whatever result comes, it comes. End of the day. So that is very, very important. So this is how you dedicate on a daily basis. And how would you know whether you are attached or not attached? That's the most important thing. Attachment and non-attachment. Very, very important. You have to see, are you feeling fear? If you're feeling fear of a certain situation, then that means you're not operating from connection with the Lord. Because you're afraid of a certain situation, that means that you feel like it is unfavorable to you. Okay, so examine what you are feeling. If you're not feeling calm, if you're not feeling okay, that means the connection is broken. And then you go back and ask yourself, how do I get that connection back? But that at no point of time absolves you from doing hard work. Right? That's very, very clear. You can't say, okay, earth and calm is Bhagwanji's responsibility, so I will not do my calm. Why should I do hard work? Right? That is something that you can't escape from. Got it? So start with something. See, there are lots of layers of it. But start with something basic and start experimenting with it, and you will start to see. There is a certain amount of bliss. There's a certain amount of calmness that you will start to experience when you operate from that space. And you will find, then you will start to realize, oh, this is the felicity of heaven. And then you will start to realize, oh, what is hell and what it does to your mind space. You will start to become aware. But you have to do this on a regular basis. Read every day and try and find that's why Swadhyaya is so important. Every day do 2 shlokas and then see where do these shlokas get implemented in my life today? Can I see these principles in my life today? And there is no way, no amount of reading that we can do or anybody talking to you about it will get you to it until you implement it. That's the only way forward. And that will lead to knowledge. That will clarify all questions. But like Bhagwanji always says, you have to learn. This is not about faith. It is not about faith. This is about true knowledge. But true knowledge will come from experimentation. But until you are doing that experimentation, until you get to that path of full knowledge, until that time, faith is going to help you keep you on the path. That's where faith comes in. But it is not blind faith. Right? We are not talking about blind faith. We are talking about a faith that will help you understand. Now, what is the difference between blind faith and this experimental faith? Experimental faith says the path is right. I have to continue to learn and I have to continue to put it into practice. I put it into practice, I don't get my result. Now, what faith says is that, okay, if I'm not getting the result, that does not mean that the knowledge is wrong. That does not mean the knowledge is wrong. What it means is that I have not been able to implement it correctly. So let's try and find out what have I not implemented correctly. Let's go back to the experiment and see, okay, where did that little change happen? Maybe I did not do the experiment at the right temperature. Or maybe the physical conditions were not correct. Maybe, you figured that out. You don't say, oh, the experiment is wrong. Oh, this experiment is not supposed. No. Faith that the experiment is correct. if somebody is saying that if you do certain things in such a way, then large crystals will form. We do it, we don't get any crystals. That does not mean the experiment is wrong. The faith is the experiment is absolutely correct. I have done something wrong. Let's go back and learn what I can do better. That is the faith. That is the faith we are talking about.
So just to again add to it, if I can. So all of our action and our karma, I think Tuina explained this beautifully, to be honest. I had a few light bulbs in my head as well go off. But all of our action and all of our karma starts and ends at our bhav level, which is intent plus emotion. So this entire thing of how do I dedicate it to the Lord, the only thing we need to change in ourselves is our bhav, our intent and the emotion with which we do any action. And as Tuvina is saying, if your intent and emotion becomes to do it for Bhagwanji, then automatically the act that you do will be that of absolute pristine beauty. We all have puja, we all do prayers, we all do festivals. When we make prasad ka khana, or when we prepare a puja, who are we doing it for? Bhagwanji. How much care, how much gentleness do we do it? Right? And prasad ka khana jaise bhi bana, waise bhi bana, we've always appreciated it. Because it's just somehow always, even though you don't taste it, you just cook and something happens, the end result's always amazing. Right? But the act is still a gross act. But what has changed? You're doing it for him. So the one thing that you need to constantly change is I'm doing it for him. Change the bhav towards doing it for him. And when you put
and
that
why
bhav,
you're doing it and why you're doing it. Are you doing it for a certain outcome? I have to do it because my boss told me to. I have to do it because I have to earn money. I have to do it because of, because of certain fame, or I have to do it because I am scared of certain outcomes that will happen if I don't do it. Why are you doing it? That is very important. How are you doing it and why are you doing it? The only reason you should be doing it is because it is your dharma. That's the only reason you should be doing something, because it is your duty to do it. And then, so why you're doing it and then how you're doing it. You're doing it for him alone and not for someone else. And with that bhav, then you give up the kartapan, the ego of doing it, and give up the results that are attached to it. Then whatever the results come, they come.
So I'll share an example, right? Where actually happened yesterday. And I think it's very relevant here. Those are the light bulbs I was referring to. Yesterday was Vedant's birthday party. So we were organizing it. There were 21 kids, 21 6-7-year-old boys. So you can't imagine the testosterone in that room, right? The chaos. And we organized it in the function room of the building. So we booked it from 4 to like 10 p.m. And so backstory, right? Tuina had asked me to book it for the morning slot as well, right? That was the plan. And she'd done most of the effort for organizing the birthday party. So now I'm connecting back to this principle that we're talking, right? Because in my mind, I am not doing this. I completely did not implement this principle of doing it for Bhagwanji, or I'm doing it for Bhagwan. That was not in my bhav. I'm doing it for Vedant, his friends, Yebo, Vagara, school friends, all of that. So now I'm doing it for sansaric reasons and not divinity. Now, because I'm doing it for sansaric reasons, my vasanas came in. Then let's make it convenient. Array, let's save cost here. Array, why bother this? Why do that? Those are all my vasanas that I have to deal with in this life. So all that came in, right? Now, in most situations, my vasanas don't create that much of a big negative outcome. In this particular party, it did. I missed booking the morning session. and then everything got crammed. It started raining
I did not.
I did not do it.
actively.
And then it started raining very heavily. So everything that had to go wrong went wrong, and the party became a lot more chaotic rather than organized. So when I'm reading this shloka and your question, and I'm listening and absorbing, you realize I realize that if I only had to change my bhav, if I was doing this for Bhagwanji, automatically my vasanas come that much under control. Because I'm no longer doing it for me or for sansar. Your vasanas come in because you become sansaric, or you do it for sansaric reasons. But you do it for Bhagwanji, then you will start acting in a way, or doing the act in such a way that is right for the circumstance. Does that make sense? Was that?
And when you do it, this is something that you will only realize when you start to experiment with yourself. But my experiment tells me that when you do it with the right bhav, you will not leave any stops. You will go all out to do anything that you do. You will give it your best. चाहे वो इतनी छोटी सी चीज हो, चाहे इतना बड़ा हो. You will give it your best, and it will be a different you coming to fore.
In this example, then what could have been your right bhav? I mean, the birthday party was for Vedant, it's for you, it was for you guys, it was for his friends. How can it be for God? And then what could have been your right intention there?
So what's becoming clearer to me is, when we were organizing the party is not for Vedant. The party is for God. And all of these are God's children that are coming for that party. How do I delight Bhagwanji through these children? Now, just that thought would energize me a lot more to do it differently. Because I'm like, oh, I have to make God happy through these kids. Then what else can we do for the kids? How do we surprise them? How do we delight them? Okay, it doesn't matter if it costs a few $100 extra. Oh, it doesn't matter if we have to do this. Chalo, let's be safe than sorry. You overplan. Because it becomes important. It becomes important from your... it becomes... I don't know how to say it.
कोई काम छोटा नहीं रहता. Okay, काम छोटा नहीं रहता. काम को आप वो नहीं करते कि चलो कर दिया. That bhav changes a lot.
So anyways,
you will go out of your way to get stuff done in the correct manner, because it is important enough. Because the recipient is important enough.
Right?
उसमें फिर हर छोटी चीज will become important. For example, आप gifts को कैसे wrap कर रहे हो. फिर ये नहीं है कि कुछ भी औना पौना कर दिया. Then the difference is कि आपने चीजें, like if you're making like a small goodie bag, right? अब goodie bag को आपने ऐसी चीजें डाली और बंद कर दिया. That's one way of doing it. The second way of doing it is कि, for example, आप चीजें डाल रहे हो, इसमें छोटी सी booklet डाली है. If you put a little booklet, it should face outward so that the kid can see what is on that booklet. You put a little bookmark in it. The bookmark should be visible to the child when he's seeing it, because it will delight him. The kids will be able to see what's inside. You should put like the straw. It's very long. Put it in a fashion so that it has to come inside it, so that you can lock it up from.
Or
the
you
top.
Don't put it in a way that if he pulls it out, it breaks.
It breaks. So you have to put it like the kid is going to take it out. They are going to be excited. These are the things that will go on in your mind when you're doing it at that level. When the bhav is right, then your attention to detail transforms completely. You will put it, because then you will think, yeah, the kid is, immediately you're thinking of the details. The kid will take it out. If this is going to break, so you should put it properly. That entire concept will change. Your bhav changes the way you think about the work, and the detail with which you think about the work, and the amount of hard work you will put into it. And you will not tire of it. Right? Then you won't go, for example, one of the things, right? We made personalized cups for the kids' birthday party, right? For that personalization, that means you have to go to every single kid's parents and you have to ask them for their photographs, right? If you don't have the right bhav, then you'll be like, too much of hard work just for this birthday party, just for one thing. I mean, please, let's not do that. Can we just not make a single cup for everyone? Why do we have to personalize it? What's the point? Will the kids really enjoy it? How much difference will it make? It's not about the kids. It's about your bhav with which you are doing it. So you will go out of the way. Yeah, if I need to get it photographed because it has come in my mind, God wants me to do it. So then I will go out of the way. If it means I have to wake up at 4 o'clock, reach out to every single one separately, I will do it. I will not complain about it. I will not cry about it. That is how you will transform your every small little thing, which you may think in larger scheme of things has no meaning. And this bhav, this way of being will become part of you in everything you do. When you're cleaning your house, when you're going to work, when you're dealing with friends, when you're throwing a party, when you're being home by yourself, when you're cleaning your own bathroom, when you take care of your clothes. And then you will see, just see, no, the quality of your action transforms significantly. So naturally, through that connection, through the whole behavior, the quality of outcomes will transform significantly.
And even
And
if
the
the
amount-
outcomes, even if the outcomes don't transform, because you have that bhav, like the outcome yesterday may not have been ideal to what we thought, but the fact
your
that we've got the
calmness-
fact that we've
Yeah.
got this learning out of it, and the kids are kids, they don't care, they'll have fun anywhere, right? But our learning and this small nugget of insight worth everything for my journey.
So now
Right.
we do everything we want, okay, and then the outcome doesn't come out the way it has to. Okay, the result is still very chaotic, party, whatever. End of the day, okay, it happened. So how do you look at it? Okay, whatever happened was God's will. It is for my ultimate benefit. Now, what is my ultimate benefit here? It is not the actual result, but to see what learning can we get out of it.
What have we
It
missed?
has happened. It has happened the way it has happened for me to learn something. Something in my behavior has to change. Something I have to learn so that it prepares me for a bigger challenge tomorrow. If I don't learn that learning from this, from whatever happened yesterday, then I am going to face a certain situation in a more drastic fashion for me to learn. Bhagwan ji said, thank you karo ki yaar ek birthday party mein I learned something big
Correct.
about an organizational behavior.
So, and these are
So it's a very good thing it happened now. There is really no effect, but such a huge learning that we can take from it and become better organizers or learn something else. Like there are so many learnings from yesterday evening. And the outcome, the end result is not like the impact is not great on us, right? It doesn't really matter. It has zero impact, but the learnings so huge, which can transform so many different aspects of our lives. So whatever has happened for the best, whether it happened good, whether it happened bad. It's for us to learn from it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bhagesh is like, I asked one question.
No,
And 30 minutes, bhai, ye log-
no, no. I feel bad for taking so much of your time. Actually, it's not
Your
right.
question- Your question dropped the nugget to me. So I'm so grateful to you, Bhageshri, that Bhagwanji gave you that question and he gave you the energy to ask that question, because my learning would have been incomplete. Everything happens for a purpose. And if not me, there's somebody else whose nugget will drop. So thank you. It was,
And when it comes out of mouth, then a lot of things melt away, Bhageshri. So whatever has happened yesterday, it is melted out today. That is good. I just wanted to.
no, we're not ranting about yesterday.
No. See, seriously, see, when there is like pressure, untold pressure or undiscussed pressure, when you're actually talking it out, it helps hasten out a lot more things. The takeaways, whatever we have been doing.
Absolutely.
And only the adverse situation, you will keep it for long. 10 years back, it happened. Just one minute of a quick story. Okay. So me and my friend did a water scooter exercise, feeling adventurous, all that kind of thing near Chicago. It's called Wells Lake, surrounded by 7 hills, very steep, very adventurous location. So we were taking it light because we are not the experts and so on. And it's pretty kind of like getting late in the evening and pretty free, right? The entire lake is almost like only few tens of people. That's it. So the lake is huge, but only very limited people. So you can do whatever you want, and we are doing like water scootering big time. So all of a sudden, this big wave came through from a boat, and the dude, my friend, got like super excited, and he jumped the wave, and all of us were in middle of the lake. Boat is, the scooter is somewhere, I was somewhere, glasses were somewhere, he was somewhere. We don't, and you're in life jacket, if you have seen, it's a extremely good life jacket, but it takes time to kick in, right? Like it won't be like as soon as you hit the water, it won't, it will bloat, it will just pump out, and till that time you will see all green, your dadima, everybody will come to your mind. That's the kind of moment you will go through. If you see, if you ask me on that particular day, it would have been like worst of the day, worst of the nightmare that I would have gone. The absolute adverse. He is still my best of the best friend, this guy, right? Because I learned swimming. I know the priority of swimming. I immediately joined the next day with Vedant kind of kids. Everybody was 10-year-old. I was 20-year-old trying to swim, because they put them in like every little kid into the swimming class up front. We Indians, we always like allergic to water or whatever it is. So we never go to swimming and so on. But I took the priority immediately. So I know that God is telling me that like I need to go for swimming before getting into all this kind of adventure. Learned quite a bit of it, but even if it is like best worst of the nightmare, I mean, it's a near death scenario, right? It still stays in the mind. He is still my best friend. I learned swimming. All this has happened. So if you go back, look at your worst of your own case, Bhagyashree, like in the past, somewhere in the past, you would have thought, this is nuts, I don't know how I'm going to sail it over. But if you see today, probably you are laughing about it, or you would have taken a lot of learning out of it. So that is how it's like connecting dots that Abhinav was mentioning about. I just wanted to tell my little story also how it happened.
Thank you so much, Vijay.
Amazing. Should we continue reading?
Sure. So that's about Yoga Shema. So about this shloka, very educative story is related, and erudite and humble scholar of few needs and austere habits used to live in the holy city of Jagannath Puri. He was writing a commentary of Holy Gita at the time, which the story relates. When he came to this shloka, he started thinking on what Lord might have been saying, that he carries what the devotee needs. On deep thinking, he concluded that perhaps it would be impractical to think that Lord would carry the things needed by the devotees, and it would be appropriate use provide in the place of the word carry. So he scored out the word carry and wrote provide instead. Sometime later, he went for his daily bath on the seashore. In his absence, a young and handsome boy, 12 or 13 years of age, arrived at his house with a basket on his head and asked the scholar's wife to help him put the basket down. The basket was full of vegetables, food grains, ghee, and other household provisions. On being asked, the boy said that venerable scholar had sent provisions. While helping to put the basket down, the wife observed fresh scar in the fair cheek of the boy. She inquired how the boy had come to have the scar, and was amazed when the boy told her that the scholar who had caused him the injury. The lady knew the polite temperament of her husband and was at loss to understand how he could inflict such an injury on the boy. The boy then went away. On return, scholar inquired about the provisions. While telling him that the boy sent by him had brought all the provisions, and his wife inquired politely why he had given that gash on the boy's cheek. The scholar has stunned on hearing and immediately concluded that whole scenario was enacted by the Lord to convince him none, but he himself carries to his devotee what devotee needs. And by scoring out this solemn assurance of Lord, he had caused the gash on Lord's cheek. The venerable scholar was moved to the depth of his heart, and his face was bathed in stream of tears from his eyes when he contemplated on Lord's kindness. One should not run away with the idea that Lord is interested only in providing worldly needs of the devotee. The shloka gives a glimpse of his benign kindness, which helps the devotee treading the path of self-realization. Therefore, the word yoga in the shloka should be interpreted in its wider meaning. The provision of worldly needs is infinitesimal part of his kindness. for the devotee. Truly speaking, the word yoga has been used to denote the means of his realization, which he vouchsafes to his devotee.
So I think the story is quite clear. I don't need to explain the example. But the one thing that stands out to me every time I read this story is the lesson about how God talks to us. Bhageshri, coming back to your point, right? If you want to see him, he's all around and he's communicating to us. He doesn't come in the avatar of Krishna with his outfit to come and tell us something, right? But because the scholar had the intellect and a antakaran to perceive things, understood that that boy represented Bhagwanji. And now when he writes this example and story, we can follow it because he's written it in a way that we also understand with our not as clean antakaran. But similarly, when we start cleaning our antakaran, we start communicating with God through these subtle conversations, messages, dreams, all of these ways. And you will know for it to be true when you actually interact with that circumstance, because it deeply resonates or it deeply impacts you. But if you think about it deeper, you will find its subtle meaning. Right? The second thing I actually wanted to say is the love and the connection that we have with God is so strong that he just crossed a word, right? And it resulted in a cheek being cut. This is the power of our tools, our mouth, our speech, and our bhav. That we have, like everything we say or do has a direct effect on how we interact with divinity. Right? If we choose the wrong words, if we choose to interact with doubt, all of those things, we're just slashing that wire over and over again. But if we do it with the right bhav, that connection will get stronger and stronger and stronger.
Nana,
Okay.
you'll read with us?
Connection. At this point, a question arises: if gods are divine powers of the Lord, what is the difference in the outcome of worship of gods and that of the Lord? Clarifying this, the Lord says,
Ye apyanya devata bhakta
Ye apyanya devata bhakta
yajante shraddhayanvitaha
yajante shraddhayanvitaha
te api mameva kaunteya
te api mameva kaunteya
yajantya vidhipurvakam
yajantya vidhipurvakam
ye apya anya devata. So those who and the anya is different gods, anya devata, other gods, right? Bhakta, bhajate hain, pray or worship. Yajante, shraddhayanvitaha, shraddha yukt, with the shraddha. Okay. Te api mamev kaunteya, they mamev me, they only me, kaunteya, yajantya vidhipurvakam, they worship me. Okay, so those who with the sakam bhav, those who worship other gods, they worship me only, Arjun, but avidhi purvakam, without the right vidhi, without the right gyan, in an agyani way. Okay, so the agyan comes when you do the puja of the other gods with the sakam bhav, with the expectation of an outcome. Okay, so we are not doing the puja of the Lord for our ultimate welfare, but for some sakam bhav. कि भगवान जी मैं आपकी पूजा कर रही हूँ, मुझको ये दे दो, give me this, give me that. then it is with agyan. Okay. So the next 2-3 shlokas are going to explain this part, because this is the way we have worshipped God almost all our lives, right? With the sakam bhav we worship. And now that is what God is going to bring out and explain to us ki where is the agyan there, where is the ignorance there, and how it is still his worship. Okay, let's read.
O Kaunteya, even those devotees who endowed with faith worship other deities, in effect worship me. They are mistaken only in the method of their worship.
So see, it's endowed with faith. Endowed with faith is very important. So they have faith in that Lord. Okay, you pray to Krishna, you pray to Ram, you pray to Ganesha, or whoever is your deity. So you have full faith. Okay, this deity is very powerful. He will take care of me. So I'm going to pray. So that faith is there, but it is mistaken. And why is it mistaken? Because we are praying to them out of fear. First is fear. If I don't pray to this Lord, my life will not be good. Second, we are praying to them mostly for taking care of us in a worldly manner. My relationships should be good. My food, I should get my, whatever my worldly requirements are met. Okay, so we are typically praying to them for getting something for them, or out of fear, or for avoiding certain situations that we don't want.
So I have an example here. So we've all studied in India, right? So we used to, in all our schools and colleges, you have peon and you have offices, the admin office. At least my experience has been, to get something done in a school, we all had a favorite, either peon or office clerk, right? To get things done. You'd always go to that one office clerk, who either likes us or we like them, because your stuff would get done, or they'd give you a clear answer, or there is a peon who would be resourceful and he would get things done, right? And you'd always go to that same person. Like I know I have been to a school office, and if that teacher was not there, that whatever we used to call her miss, so the teacher was not there, then I would go and do it the next day when she's back, or I'd come back later. You wouldn't do it with the other office clerks, right? Government office is exactly the same. You build that relationship with a couple of these government officers. But so while these guys are giving you what you want, and you're going there with that outcome, right? With that focus on the outcome, who is really providing you the solution, the resources? It's either the government or the school system, right? Similarly here with Bhagwanji, he's saying that while you interact with the other gods, the same way we interact with the school clerks for certain outcomes, and then you become attached, and then you keep going back to that same god. And I want this, and I want this, now I want this. He said, you're being mistaken, because you're actually just coming to me. I am the provider.
I am the one who is powering these deities. That is one. And second, there is this type of puja, this type of worship is actually full of ignorance, because what you are trying to do, Bhagwan ji kya kehte hain? Use the world to reach me. Hum kya karte hain? Ulta. We try to reach the world through him. So we are trying to, instead of using the world to get to him, we are saying, I want to use you, God, to get to this world. Bilkul hi ulta. And that is why this is completely ignorant form of worship. Okay, let's read.
The perishable character of the outcome of worship of gods. In fact, worship of deities is also in effect worship of the Lord, as the deities represent corresponding powers and faculties of the Lord. Usually, deities are worshipped for obtaining some worldly desire. The outcome of such worship is limited to the attainment of only the objects of the devotee's desire, and the devotee is deprived of attaining the imperishable outcome of worship of the Lord. So, in this shloka, the Lord speaks of the worship of the deities as being, in effect, his own worship, but says that the method is erroneous. If the worship of deities is not for the acquisition of worldly gains, but is for making the devotee fit for the Lord's worship and for securing his grace, this would become the Lord's worship and leads to self-realization.
So as an example, let's take Ganesha ji, right? Ganesha ji is considered the Vignaharta, right? So you can, how do we typically pray to him? Here, take away all the obstacles in my life, right? So typically you'll say, किसी भी चीज को शुरू करने से पहले, we should go and do puja of Ganesh ji, right? You start a big project, you open a new shop, or you enter a new house, right? Everything starts with Sri Ganesh, right? The concept is taken like that. Now if you are worshipping to Ganesha ji, to say ki yaar, please help me get this outcome. I'm praying to you at the start of my day to help me, ki boss, today the day should go really well. I'm praying to you ki get me a lot of customers, help me make money, take away all obstacles in my in the direction of me achieving my certain outcome. So this is the mistaken way of worshipping God. Because what are you asking him? You are praying to Lord to get to the perishable world. So you will get it, but it is ignorant form of worship. You will only get the world, that which is perishable. So you're not getting anything else. So that outcome will eventually perish. It will get over at some point of time. But if you are praying to Lord Ganesha and saying he's the Vignakarta, so Vignaharta, so you are praying to him to say, please take away my vasanas that prevent me from getting the work done. Please help me in take away all that is in my path from seeing oneness in the world. Help me take away my vasana of procrastination so that I can do my duty that you have given to me in the best possible manner. Then you are praying to him, and through that prayer to Ganesha, you are actually praying the Lord. Okay, so that's the difference. Are you praying to the God to get to the Lord for your own ultimate welfare, or are you praying to the God to come back to this world? That is the difference. And between the two will determine whether your prayer, what outcome your prayer will lead to. Ultimately, whatever you ask for, God will give you. You ask for the world, you will get the world and the suffering that entails with it. You ask the Lord for him, he will come to you, and the bliss and the happiness that comes with it. You will get what you ask for. Okay.
That's also why Nam Jap is so important, right? You are constantly saying, like a baby keeps saying, Mama, 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 Mama. Eventually, Mama will turn and look, na? Like who will you? And that's why Nam Jap. You keep calling his name, you keep calling his name, you keep calling his name. At some point, he will turn and look. You're asking for him. You're not asking for sansar. So that's, and the more number of japs you do, the greater your call is.
Correct.
Otherwise, you just call him like 10 times for 2 malas or 1 mala a day. And then you're just like, I actually want sansar. I'm just doing this because for whatever reason.
And that is why this Namjap is so strong, because Namjap is what? It is composed of 16 words. Every word is Lord's name. All you are saying is Lord's name. That's all that you're doing in that Namjap. 16 times in one jap, you're taking Lord's name.
Hare is also there.
Yeah. Hari is him.
Hari.
Hari is him. So Hari is that who harifies your man.
Oh.
Jo aapka man har le.
Okay, I remember.
Yeah.
This is the next one. And then
Or do you want to close? Because 24, 25 are going to be related. So you're just
Okay.
basically talking about the same.
Okay.
Or okay, we can do 24. So we are clarifying this point further. Let's do 24, right?
Yeah, we have 6 minutes.
Yeah. Sanchita, will you read with us?
Clarifying this point, the Lord says,
Aham hi sarva yajnanam
Aham hi sarva yagnanam
bhokta cha prabhureva cha
mukta cha prabhureva cha
na tu mama bhijananti
na tu mama vijanati
bhijananti
Vijananti.
Tatvani Tatva Natashvachanti te.
Tatvanata Chavantite.
Anyway, aham is me. He is I am only. Okay. Sarva yajnanam, all yagyas. Bhokta is receiver. So I am the receiver of all the yagyas. And yagya is what? All actions. And choice and Prabhureva, Swami. I am the Prabhu, I am the Swami, I am the owner or I am the master. Okay. Na tu mam bhijananti. But not understanding. One who does not, mam bhijananti, who does not understand me. No, does not. So one who does not understand me. Tattva, through my tattva, through my essence. Chavantite, they fall because they don't know me by my essence. That's why they fall. And fall where? Fall back to the mortal world. So they keep going in the circle of life and death.
Indeed, I am the recipient as also the master of all yagnas. But not knowing me in essence, they suffer a fall to the mortal world. Worship of deities inadequate for emancipation. In this shloka, the Lord says that he is the master of all yagnas and is also the recipient of oblations offered to them. But if the devotion is for gaining only worldly objects through the worship of deities by the yajnas, the real aim of life is missed and the priceless gain of emancipation is exchanged for petty gains of worldly possessions.
So which is why being good is not enough. That is why even if you are a scholar who knows all the Vedas, one who can recite all 700 shlokas of Gita, and you can go and do all the activities exactly as described in the Vedas, all the yagyas, everything you do, yet that will not be enough. Why? It will not be enough if the way we are praying to the Lords or the way we are doing all our activities is with a sakam bhav, with an attachment. My family, my husband, my children, my family, my friends, my community, my company. Jab tak wo my is there and I'm doing everything to gain something out of it. If I'm going to the temple to gain something out of it, then I've lost the point. It will not be enough. It will only get me what I've asked for. And what I've asked for is the world. So I will come back. I'll fall back to this world. It is not going to get me emancipation.
So it's what we learned in chapter 3 and 4, and I started the class with this as well. All actions will happen, whether we do it or we don't do it. The fact that we have an opportunity to do an action is something we should be grateful for, because it's an opportunity for us to serve others, and when we serve others, it's an opportunity to serve him. I think this part has become very clear.
So as an example, like if we are doing a birthday party for Vedant, it is not a birthday party that we are doing as a favor. Ki, we are doing a birthday party for our kid and we are inviting all the children. It's not that. It is an opportunity. Pehle to opportunity, you have to understand, not everybody will get that opportunity to do it that way. You have to have the time, you have to have the resources, like whatever be that resources, right? घर होना चाहिए, बच्चा होना चाहिए, उसके friends होने चाहिए, आपके पास resources होने चाहिए, time होना चाहिए to be able to organize something. Boss, this is a great opportunity Bhagwan Ji has given you. So be grateful that you can do it, and then do it with that bhav, then give it your best, whatever be that opportunity, right?
So the first part is clear. Actions will happen regardless of whether we do it or don't do it. It's happening. So we have to, and we will partake in it. The second part is also true. We are doing the action for a particular reason, always. Now, whether that reason is sansarik, whether that reason is your vasana, that I want to do it out of my convenience, I want to do it because I'll make money, I want to do it because I'll look good, I'll do it because for whatever reason. You're doing it for a reason. So you're doing the action and you're doing it for a reason. What Bhagwanji is saying, that everything you're doing it for me, whether you know it or you don't know it. Whether you offer it to me or you don't offer it to me, you're doing it for me.
And I am going to receive it.
And I'm going to receive it. Whether you do it for me or you don't do it for me. If you don't do it for me, you will have to face the consequences of your action. Then you keep adding on to your prarabdha. But if you do it for me, then pole vault out of this.
So as an example, to make it further clearer, you're working with your boss, okay? And he's the ultimate owner. Okay, you're working with the owner of the company, okay? Okay, no, another, make it clearer. You are in a trading firm, okay? And you have clients. That client is going to give you orders for executing certain trades, okay? As long as he's the one taking all the decisions and he's giving you all the instructions and all you're doing is execute. Whatever be the results of those trades, whether that guy makes money, he does not make money, you are not at fault. You've done your job. You've done exactly what he told you to. Every step of the way, there is the loss, the gain, nothing accrues to you. It accrues to him. If instead your ego comes into play and you start making the decisions, the loss and gain is still accruing to that person. But now you start to accrue a certain karma. Right? Now you have to start worrying about 100 things because your ego was making the decisions. You were not just an executor anymore. You get the difference? When you're doing things for the Lord as an executor of his will versus what you are doing for your own will. Then only, because when you start to accrue things on your own, that's when the karma starts to stick to you. Otherwise, the karmas don't stick to you and then you don't fall back to the mortal world. So whether you look at it from a karma yogi perspective in the first 6 chapters, or whether you look at it from a bhakti yoga perspective in the next 6 chapters that we are reading, they both ultimately mean the same thing. How you fall back to the mortal world and how you pole vault out of it. Okay, the end result is the same, but the way you approach it, whether you approach it through karma yoga, whether you approach it through bhakti yoga, there are 2 pathways. And as you start to put these principles into practice, you will start to see how bhakti yoga and karma yoga will start to become the same, and how they benefit each other, how they nourish each other, how they can either become a virtuous cycle or they can become a devolving cycle. But they are very closely intertwined, even though we are reading them separately. But by the time we finish the first 18 chapters and we come back to the second reading, when you do the reading of Karma Yoga, you will see so many elements of bhakti in it. And as you read your Bhakti Yoga, you will see so many elements of Gyan, so many elements of Karma Yoga also in it. Although we are reading them separately. But you can start to see those connections, right? They're all leading to the same thing, same 2 paths. One that leads us back and one that gets us out. Okay?
All right.
That will close the class.
I'll do it.
Thank you. No, let's see. Venki's here, so maybe Venki would want to do it.
Oh.
Venki, would you do the closing shlokas for us?
Probably next time I'll do.
Okay, good.
Sanchita?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma kaschit dukha bhavet. Om asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityur ma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. 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 Om.
It was very well done, Sanchita.